I will call you out on the negative way that you're talking about yourself. I will call you out on your own negativity bias. I will call you out on all these things and leading us to poorer health outcomes. It's not leading us to better health outcomes. And I don't think women should have to settle, period. I don't think that we should have to settle for this narrative that says we're fragile. I don't think we have to settle for this narrative that says at a certain age, you just have to.
Welcome back to Aging Athletically with the brilliant Alison, and I'm your co-host, Kelly Moser. We need to talk about something that I'm really excited to hear you speak on, which is this idea that women need to start refusing to accept that you're just going to decline. Why is this so important to you?
Yeah, I think there's this narrative that we reach a certain point, and it bothers me because especially as high achievers, we've spent our whole lives, like decades of our lives, working our asses off to build this life. And then at some point, we're just supposed to park it on the sidelines, and that's inevitable. And we know that that's not true. We know that most of what we consider aging is actually lack of appropriate training, that we can't live forever, right? But we certainly can't increase our longevity past the point that a lot of people think is possible with some very simple interventions. So I think it's just across the board. My philosophy is that I don't think women should have to settle, period. I don't think that we should have to settle for this narrative that says we're fragile. I don't think we have to settle for this narrative that says at a certain age, you just have to hang up your sneakers and take it easy, because it's that we know where that's leading us. It's leading us to poorer health outcomes. It's not leading us to better health outcomes.
I've heard you speak about this before, and I love this concept. You've said that as women start to do the physical work, they realize that there are self-imposed limitations that they've just bought into, stories they've bought into, that they start to look around at the other areas of their life too, and little light bulbs start to go off. Tell me about your experience with this.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we think we have a lot of problems, but we really have 3 or 4 problems that just show up everywhere that are really, really deep. And when you start exploring what's preventing you from having better performance or increasing your durability, whatever your outcome is, when you start to look at that, a lot of times what comes up, it's always coming up where it's people-pleasing tendencies get in the way, where you give your time away to other people for things that are not as important to you and are not even aligned with your values, but you do it because that's just your MO. That's the way that things are. And so whenever you're working with a coach and they're like, why do we keep skipping these workouts? And you're like, oh, I had to do X, Y, or Z. And you see these patterns. It's like, is this something we need to look at, right? Is that really true? Or are we just bailing on ourselves over and over again? And they're like, oh shit, I am, right? Yeah. So it really kind of holds up a mirror. Whatever you do in these smaller areas of your life are really just versions of the bigger things that are showing up. And I think as women, we're just socialized with a lot of garbage around what our roles are and what we're supposed to be doing, what we should be doing. And we don't really realize how interwoven into our lives those things are until we start to add a new habit or a new routine, or we start working with somebody who's holding a mirror up to us, where they're kind of questioning, again, individual decisions I leave to my clients, but my job is to recognize patterns. And I do see these threads. I do see the way that you talk about yourself in your check-ins. I will call you out on the negative way that you're talking about yourself. I will call you out on your own negativity bias. I will call you out on all these things. And because they're not just here. This is not just a fitness problem.
Right.
Right?
You're not just a people pleaser.
I guarantee you that whatever problem you have in fitness is not just a fitness problem. Same with nutrition. It is just a manifestation of a problem you have in some other area of your life. It's trying to tell you something. It is begging for you to shine a flashlight on these places in your life where you are limiting yourself, and that you don't need to be, that you could break free. You could decide to do something else, right? And that's what I really love about this process. Again, I like to think that what I help people with is not fitness and nutrition problems. What I help people with are much bigger things, because you can't work through those issues in health and fitness and not see changes reflected everywhere else.
Tell me about a woman that you've worked with that came to the work with a lot of barriers of her, a cage of her own making, if you will. And how did she, once she started doing this work with you, start to find those patterns in other areas of her life as well?
I was working with a runner who had come back from a hip surgery. And she had a lot of questions about what caused the injury that led to the hip. I mean, we did some, she had already tried to come back from the injury. She'd already gone through the process of the surgery to repair it, but she was trying to do better moving forward. And what she needed to do better wasn't run a few more miles or do these 5 exercises. What she needed to do better was face all of the ways that she was making her healing harder or driving that wedge in deeper, right? So it was looking at how one of the things that she would do was she would miss a run because her kid needed her, right? And this is a teenager. Okay, so this is like a capable kid needed her sort of situation, needed her to drive him to a friend's house. And he could have, there's other ways he could have got there. Sure. But she's like, but that's just what I do. That's my thing. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But she would do that on a regular basis. And then what she would do then is she would just take the run and she would slam it up against her long run. So she would do her speed work and her long run at the same, like back to back. And I kept telling her, that's okay once in a while. Like, you're not a delicate flower. It's not going to break you. But if we do that on a regular basis, that could be compromising your recovery. And she's like, I have been doing that for years. And okay, let's troubleshoot the problem. What's another way that you could confront this issue with your kid, right? And she was like, well, my kid calls Uber, knows how to like summon an Uber. Like he does it all the time when I can't pick him up. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. So she's like, oh, it just never occurred to me to do that. It's a lot of this is just, we believe that we have to exist in the world in a certain way. And when that gets challenged, some people will like really push back hard on that and double down. And some people will go, oh, that's an old story. That's like me saying like, I have to be the one that does this for my kid because I can't put my 5-year-old in an Uber. Got it. Yeah. Cool. Right. Got it. Your kid is not 5. Mm-hmm. Your kid is 16. Mm-hmm. Right. You're about to launch this kid into the world. You might want to you might like want them to learn how to do this stuff on their own. Yeah. But it was a lot of things like that. And we're like, eating more, right? The mindset around that, and eating when you're not hungry, the mindset around that, and prioritizing your sleep and not trying to jam more work in after everybody goes to bed at night. Mm-hmm. It's like these are some of the habits that don't directly cause hip injuries, but when they go on for years that you're not sleeping well, you are poorly constructing your training schedule, you're not eating enough, like your body will take it until it doesn't. So I don't know what caused that hip injury, but I know she hasn't been injured since. So it's really just about like, what are your beliefs? How have you been operating? And how can we shift something that might lead to a better outcome?
So interesting. This is such deep work. And then the manifestation of it is, if you want to learn, what your limitations, your self-imposed limitations are in your life, start a fitness journey. Yeah. You'll learn pretty fast.
You will learn if you are somebody who can't set and defend boundaries because you will never have time for your workouts. You will learn if you are a people pleaser because you suddenly can't get any time away from your family, even though you've told them this is important to you and they don't actually need you. All of these things that show up in other areas of your life that you might not even be aware are problems, or even things that you can do something about, will show up in your fitness journey. And they are things that you have the option to look at, poke, get curious about, or not, right? Like, I'm not here telling people they have to do the work, but it always ends up. I've never had a client where we did not have to dive into mental fitness just as much as physical.
Is this the part of the work you love the most?
It really is, because it is the foundation for everything. If you don't believe that you can improve, if you don't believe that that settling for decline is, something that you don't have to accept, if you don't believe any of it, or if you are out there putting yourself in the way of it, it doesn't work. It doesn't matter what I put on your training calendar. It doesn't matter what your macros are. None of it matters if you can't see yourself and believe that potential exists, because you have to believe it's there to put the work in to pursue it.
What do you say to the woman who's on her 7th try starting? Obviously, she should come and find you and get your one-on-one support. In the interim, what do you want her to know?
Keep advocating for yourself. That was one of the big things for me in how do I accept? How do I learn? Where's the line between what I need to accept and what I can change? And educating myself, because everybody comes into the room with biases and different experiences that mold the way that they see the world. And doctors are just like that. I mean, I have lots of friends who are doctors, and they are very upfront about that. I have history that does color my advice. And that's normal and natural and not something to be afraid of, but that means maybe get more than one. There's a reason why you might want a jury trial, right? You might want more than one person's interpretation of what's happening. And, going and getting different opinions, and then also trying different approaches. The thing that you think, because a lot of people come in to me and they're like, I need more flexibility. If I was more flexible, I would stop hurting my tendons and things. No, that's not your problem, most likely. I've never met a client who their problem was they didn't have enough flexibility. That's really, really rare. What it typically is you lack strength in certain ranges of motion. You're not able to access the mobility that's required, but the tissue flexibility is not the problem. So just be open to different approaches. I've had people come into my yoga classes when I was teaching yoga regularly and then become strength clients because they thought that stretching and yoga was going to be the thing that fixed them. And it helped them with a lot of things. It didn't make the injury go away, right? So it really, stop taking free advice from strangers on the internet. Go talk to people who specialize in this and who have a more optimistic approach, because I promise you that you can probably do better than what you think.
You've talked about this work being multi-generational. I'd love to know more about what that means to you as we're, creating this new paradigm of what strength and fitness and health and wellness means for this generation. How does it become a multi-generational experience as well?
It's a totally different model. I have a client who is about to retire. She's in her 60s. And she just ran her first 5K with her granddaughter.
That's so cool.
And then she went on vacation and was with her grandson, and they went and spectated while she ran it by herself. The next generation, I never saw any woman in my family run.
No. Never.
They didn't exercise for fun. They didn't participate in sports. Activity was something that they made us do instead of play Nintendo, right? It's go outside and play in the sandbox, right? I need you out of my hair, go outside. But it had a totally different feel and vibe to it. The only time I saw my mom exercise when she put her Jane Fonda stuff on, right? Yeah. And then had the little 3-pound weights that was, that used to be basically dusty door stops. But it was all from a place of self-punishment. On our refrigerator was a magnet that said nothing tastes as good as being skinny feels. And so every time you'd go to the refrigerator, you'd have to look that in the face, right? It's a completely different model for the next generation to see that women are capable. Women can enjoy this. Women can do this because it makes their quality of life better. They can do it because it makes them feel better. They can do it because they actually enjoy it and not as a way to just rip themselves apart or shrink themselves into oblivion. And we can do this with them, and they can see something very different than what our generations have seen. And if you can see it, you can believe in its potential. It gives them more options. Like, this is available to me versus having to figure that out on your own at some point in your life.
It's such a beautiful shift from how can I use my workouts to punish myself more to how can I use my workouts to reach my full potential, to build strength, to build my capacity, to enjoy my life more. What is something that you want women 20 years from now to be able to say that women today are not quite saying yet?
I want them to really be okay with increased capacity comes perhaps increased size, taking up space, owning the space that you stand in, feeling comfortable and confident in that space. I feel like we're still in the stage of we want that to be our reality, but we're still fighting against, there's still some internal friction. And my hope is that women 20 years from now have overcome some of that friction, and it becomes much more about what are you doing, how happy you are, how much you enjoy moving your body versus the obligation to do it. And that you're really able to stand in and own, my body's not a beauty trend. It's my home, and I'm going to make it whatever I want to make it, and I'm going to take up that space in the world.
That's such a beautiful message. The woman that you want to reach out to you after listening to all of these conversations, who exactly is she? And what do you want her to hear right now as your final message to her?
She is somebody who is not ready to settle for all of these ridiculous, outdated, bullshit narratives about women and aging. You're not buying diet culture anymore. You're not buying the anti-aging narrative of like, we need to spend all of our time and money being thin and looking young, right? We need to spend all of our resources and devote all of our energy to the pursuit of some aesthetic that we're not even on board with. That's not even ours, right? This was given to us. This was expected of us. So if you're there and you want to or do enjoy being active, experiencing your athleticism and feeling your capacity grow and expand rather than withering away, then you'd probably be a good fit for what I do, especially if you've tried other things and you know that the beginner stuff is just not cutting it. Like all the advice you're hearing, you're past that. Mm-hmm. Like you're already doing cardio. You're already trying to do some strength training, even if it's like not lifting heavy, but it's something, right? This is the place that I tend to work best with is you're already doing some of this stuff, but you need a better approach to it. Or you used to do it and you need a way to get back to it that is more meeting you where you are now. But I like the tough cases. I like people to come in ready to roll up their sleeves and dig into the messy metal and look at like, okay, in what ways am I standing in my own way? And how can I get out of my way so that I can really grow into this next version, the stronger version of me? What would I say to her? I would say, go with your gut on that. Don't let anyone else convince you that this is selfish, that this is misguided, that it's all downhill. So why are you even bothering? Like, you are worth it. You're worth the effort, right? Like, who cares if you don't end up running marathons, right? Like, your quality of life is important to you and you are solely responsible for that. Don't let anyone convince you to give up on yourself.
Alison, you are a light. I'm getting emotional. You are a light in the dark universe of health and wellness, and we need more of your message. We need you out in the world. For anyone who's listening who wants to get in touch, who wants to explore working with you, what do they need to do right now?
They need to go to milestogoathletics.com, to my website. You can read more about what we offer. There's an application there. You can reach out to me. Also, you can check out our YouTube channel. We have content there that we're loading up, digging into some of the things that we talked about today, but with a little bit more depth. Or find me on Instagram. I love to connect with people. I would love to show you photographs of my dog and reels of my dogs.
Alison, this was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for such a generous share and such beautiful conversations.
Thanks so much for having me and holding the space.